Hello, testing, testing. Okay. Okay. Ah, I'm here. Okay, finally. Hey, who is in? Mm-hmm. Hello. Okay, let's see. Eh, still cannot see me? Can see me now? I think there was a. I think there was some error going on earlier. Now I hope you guys can see me. All right. Okay, so hello, good evening, everyone. Hello. Yes, perfect. Okay, hi. So, hello for those who are viewing in several places. We have participants, viewers from the Instagram, we have viewers from the YouTube, and we also have participants, viewers from Facebook. I see. Hello. Okay. So glad that you guys can make it today. So let me try to put up this slide. Okay, good. So maybe one thing you might see me like looking back and forth to few different screens because I am looking at few different screens, but I hope you can hear me and see me clearly. All right. So for those who just joined, welcome as well. Okay, without further ado, probably I just would like to share some introduction about myself. If you are new here with me, okay. Now I'm just a bit strange here. Like I don't know what's going on with my slide. Okay, can you guys see this? Okay, perfect. So just to give you a little bit of introduction about me before we begin. If you are new here, welcome. And my name is Esther. I am the founder of EC Metaphysics. If you are new here, and welcome to EC Metaphysics channel, Facebook page, and Instagram. And I am a pharmacist by profession and also a health consultant. However, I too also expert in BaZi. Okay, so Chinese metaphysics consultant, coach, and trainer. That's what I do. On top of that, another branch of our organization, our team has also expanded to is to holistic side. So you can see that now EC Metaphysics has already called EC Metaphysics Holistic. It used to be just EC Metaphysics Holistic. And this is also when the part where my holistic coach nature and certification and experience come into place. So just to share, besides just doing Chinese metaphysics, we too also do the holistic end of things. So holistic health, mindset, physical, body healing, growth and transformation. That's what we do. Okay. So, okay, let's see what's going on here. Hello. Okay, I think I'm just going to change back to this slide. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna shout to this page. Oh, hello, Lychee. Hello, hi. Hi, Jen. Hello. So, well, just to also start things going, today's topic is going to be something is quite interesting. So, as you can see, nowadays we've been talking a lot about 2026 because I've already started to do my 2026 homework. There's also a lot of research being done as we are speaking. And basically, yeah, there's quite a lot of BaZi related metaphysical 2026 stuff that is happening behind the scenes. So now it's also the time whereby a lot of other I would say practitioners are also releasing quite a number of things from their end. But from my end, I'm just going to put it down here. Today's topic is going to be something quite interesting, something that I think it's very, very important to know. And the reason why I put one topic as it is because this is quite a huge thing. Yeah. And maybe later on when you guys are joining my 2026 webinar, we're going to touch a little bit on this. But this topic today, it's going to be very specific onto certain factors, especially if your parts of chart, if you have a very, very hot chart, okay? And perhaps later you will see and understand why are things unfolding the way they are unfolding right now because of the energy change. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so guys, just to give you a little bit of perspective, as you can see from the slide here, I hope you can see. Okay, wait. Okay, I hope you can see the slide. Okay, so this slide here, well, this side, okay, this side here is actually the 2026 parts chart. Okay, when I mean by 2026 parts chart, every year there is this timing where a transition of the year happens. So if you're new here in Chinese metaphysics, you're new here with this language, just understand that the New Year's doesn't happen on January 1st in the Chinese calendar. In a Chinese calendar, the New Year actually begins approximately around the 3rd or the 4th of February every year. And every year, if you see the 1000 years calendar, there is a specific date and time whereby the transition happen. So every year you will foresee something different times, different days, slightly maybe plus 1 day differences, but it's usually around the 3rd or the 4th of February. So this is where the fire horse will actually come in. So for 2026, the actual transition is happening when? Maybe it's a bit too small for those who cannot see. If you're viewing this on Instagram, maybe it's a little bit small for you, but let me just say out, you can actually see the transition, and the actual transition happened on the February 4th, 2026, 4 a.m. in the morning. Okay, 4 a.m. in the morning. So this is actually the puzzle chart. Okay, if you can see, this is what we use to analyze the yearly energy, right? So this is how it looks like. Now, what's important today, by the way, I'm not going to dissect the chart today, but maybe you can just have a look at one glance now. Maybe we'll come back again later. But the key point is to understand that the whole chart in this part, the whole chart here, I can't really draw in this chart. Okay, the whole chart here, it is very, very, very hot. Okay, as you can see, there's usually 5 elements. So there's usually the wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. But in this BaZi chart itself, there is missing 1 element. Okay, so yes, as you can see, based on just the color itself, it is missing the water element. Okay, so as you can see, the red color represents the fire, the gray color represents the metal, the green color represents the wood, the brown color represents the earth element. So all the elements actually exist in the transition year except 1 element, which is the water element, which then tells us that the whole year itself, okay, the whole year itself, the whole BaZi chart reflects the whole year itself is extremely, extremely hot. Now, not only that the pillar itself is already very hot because it's the Peng Wu, which is the Peng fire, and the horse, it's already very hot, but the whole chart itself is extremely hot. So if you can see, there is also a fire combination in the BaZi chart, and all these combinations of fire, pure fire, there isn't any water, not a single drop of water that is controlling the fire. Hence why we are talking about extremely strong fire. Like 2 weeks ago, I did mention about the fact that, wow, this 2026 itself is going to be the peak of the fire among the whole period 9. So there won't be any time within the next 20 years you will observe such kind of hot chart. Never. Okay, just bear in mind. So in technical sense, you understand now the fire is extremely strong. So I also got this question from, I don't remember from where, but someone asking, hey, what does this have to do with the month of October? Now, it has to do with the month of October clearly, because if you notice, the whole Bazi chart itself is also combining with the dog. Okay, if you know how to see it, right? So basically, yin wu xu, this month itself is the sheep, the dog is combining with the tiger and the horse, and the rooster is also in combination of the metal frame of the dog. So the whole month itself is extremely connected with 2026. Hence why I did say many times, observe your October month. Observe what are the changes that are happening to you. Observe the kind of challenges and the opportunities, or maybe what are the changes that is happening to you, literally, physically, or maybe emotionally, or how you are feeling. Observe all of this, because it is very connected to the whole 2026. So the idea of it again is to just be aware. Just be aware of what's happening right now on this month of October, so that you will be able to understand, or maybe get yourself more prepared for the coming year. Of course, in your Bazi chart itself, it's very clear. So just to give you an example, which is a bit slightly off topic, right? Um, I think in the month of October, there's a lot of things that have happened to us as a company, and even for myself, I've been moving up and down a lot, like physically a lot, traveling here and there. Not only that, there's a lot of workshops, there's been a lot of changes in terms of our work as well. And you know what? I'm the kind of person who never gets a police ticket. Like, maybe in a whole year, I probably don't get even one ticket. But by the time I entered the month of October, I get 2 tickets in a week. But it's not that you know, and it's a very funny thing. I actually park my car just to get down to buy something, and when I buy something, it's really not the kind that is going to take a long time. Just get down to buy something that is literally just outside the store, and like less than 5 minutes, the police came and start putting summons in my car. I'm like, what? That is so fast. Like, what happened? Now, the next day, same thing happened. And honestly, the next day, it was also a very quick stop for me to get down to buy something. But within like few minutes time, I didn't realize, and I totally forgotten about the whole thing that I'm talking about. And I get another ticket. I was like, what? Oh my God, 2 days back to back, I get ticket. It's very unforeseen, and it's very unlike me to actually do that. Now, guess what? Because in my Bazi chart itself, which after that I realized that in my auxiliary star, so every animal sign would have an auxiliary stars. It's so strange because that I have like 2 litigation stars. Okay, 2 litigation stars. So what does litigation stars actually mean? Litigation stars actually mean that you get like little punishments for breaking the law. Yeah. So when I started to like not pay my ticket, and that happened. So these are the little things. And I start paying attention because I almost got into a car accident because I was listening to some radio, and I almost miss my turn. And when I almost miss my turn, I quickly make a turn to the side, which is extremely dangerous because I didn't see that there was a curb there when I turned in. Oh my God, my tire rim actually hit like really hard. I thought I was going to crash or something. So that was also another thing that I really need to pay attention to. And similarly, I look at my auxiliary stars, it actually indicates some mindfulness, no non-focus issue that's going to lead to some accidents. So all these things are just little things. Now just pay attention, because you can see now that the BaZi chart of 2026 is extremely connected to October 2026. So pay attention to what's going on around you. Now, not only on you, but given an example, right? You guys realize, I'm not sure about other countries, because I've been quite um hung up, or quite, or paid a lot attention in my own country, which is in Malaysia right now, on the things that is actually happening this month. So I think in this month itself, and I think in few of our webinars and few of our talks and our classes, we have also shared about what's happening on the month of October. And there's been quite a lot of very nasty things that's happening in the month of October in Malaysia. Okay, so there's a lot of murder cases, rape cases, and it's very inhumane kind of incident, meaning inhumane, like literally, like things that, if you ask me, I've been in Malaysia for my whole life, I've never encountered something like this before. Like, how is it humanly possible for certain things to happen this way, which is something like outrageous. Now guess what happened as well? A few days ago, I have a family member who actually lost their passport in Thailand. That's another incident. So many little incidents like suddenly happen. Pay attention to it. So also observe around your company, your organization, because this month itself, I get particularly a lot of consults which saying that, oh my God, company is restructuring and things like that as well. So pay attention. But all and all is because it's in reflection of your 2026. Okay. Now, what happens next when the fire gets too strong? So I'm not going to be talking and analyzing the whole 2026 chart today, because to analyze the 2026 chart, there's a lot of factor, there's a lot aspects, which is in a political sense, in a career sense, in a wealth sense, in a personal or relationship sense. But today I'm going to be talking about the heart, literally our heart. Okay, because whenever the fire gets too strong, literally, like you see the parcel chart, okay, what happens? I can tell you there'll be a lot of health related problems. Okay, now not only in the parcel chart is stated so, but even in the Mother Earth Oracle, or you can call it the Mother Earth Sutra, is basically in Chinese called Tei Mo Geng. Okay, Ti Mu Jing in Mandarin, and Tei Mo Geng is in Cantonese. There's also stated that potentially there's some health conditions, or it did state that not everyone will be able to live in completion or things like that. Now, the poem, maybe one day we can talk about it, but what does it actually indicate? It does indicate a sign of health issues. Now, usually when we see them in a BaZi chart, or when we see them in any form of oracles, like I know, because people will say, hey, every year also got health problems. Correct, I agree. But every time when we see them highlighted out in a certain oracle, or in a certain paper, or a certain analysis, it means that thing itself is a highlight. That thing itself is like, oh, an important thing that everyone is going to look into it. Now, 2025, there wasn't any indication in any of the BaZi chart about health problems. There is none. 2025, but it did highlight the side effects of certain things will lead to health problems. Now, in 2026 BaZi chart and Mother Earth Oracle, it stated literally a form of epidemic. Okay, now I'm not saying that it's like a COVID kind of epidemic or pandemic that's worse, right? It's not, but it's a form of conditions that everyone and majority people is going to face. And my speculation, it's because of the fire. Okay, because we see quite a number of tools aligning to the same story, and most likely it's referring to the fire problems. So with that being said, the fire problems, again, how do we see this? Every time when the fire or the energetic organs gets too strong, we always refer back to the type of organs that is represented by the element. So every element, it is corresponding to a certain or a number of organs, a yin and yang organs. For the fire element, because it's so strong, immediately we want to pay attention on certain organs. The first one is the heart. Okay, and the pericardium. Now, pericardium itself is not really an organ. It's the wall, the protective area that is coating or lining the heart. So if you can see from the diagram here, it's the layer of outer thing, that thing that protects the heart. In Chinese medicine, we see that as a form of organ, but in Western medicine, we don't really study that part. But now, because we are looking in angle of Chinese metaphysics, we always refer back to Chinese medicine angle. So we are looking at the heart and pericardium. Next will be the small intestine, because the small intestine is also representing the fire element. And of course, the triple heater, or you can call it the triple burner. Okay, 三角. Okay, so basically 三角 also is not an organ in Western medicine. It's a pathways. In Chinese medicine, it's known as the pathway. Now, bottom line is we are focusing at all these three type of energetic organs. Now, what is really important here before I actually go on, I'm going to be sharing with you guys what are the symptoms and the disease. Okay, what are the symptoms and the disease? Because it's very important for people to understand that there's a difference between symptoms and disease. So in Chinese medicine, we don't actually relate them to disease. We only relate them to disease because there is already a knowledge base of Western medicine. In Chinese medicine, we usually talk about patterns and symptoms, which in reflection, example, the physical symptoms that you are facing right now, the discomfort, the day in, day out, how we are feeling. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you are diagnosed with a certain disease. Okay. Now, disease is understandable. It means it's a disease or a condition. Okay, so I'm going to touch base into what we are looking at in 2026 on this. Now, this is just an illustration of how I explain symptom and disease. And I want to highlight this part is because it is extremely important for you guys, listeners here today, viewers here today, dear followers, friends, and clients, is to understand the differentiation. Now, most people, they only know disease. They are only aware of disease. So example for this image right here, the disease, a patient comes in with a disease called the high blood pressure. But when they come in, they complain with a symptom or multiple symptoms. So the symptoms could be like, I'm having headache, I'm having migraines, I couldn't sleep. Okay, or my chest is aching. Now that is a symptom. It's very, very, very important for us to understand the symptoms. Why? Because the symptoms are the one is something that human, because not everyone is going to have a diagnosis ability, but everyone is able to detect symptoms. Everyone is able to differentiate when are they having the headache, when are they having the migraine. So it's very important for you to understand what are the symptoms whenever the fire gets really strong. And this is going to affect a lot of people. Okay, now I'm going to share with you guys, this is just a slide to illustrate the fire issues. Okay, so in a health context, health problems, they don't only come out in direct physical symptoms. There is also such thing as called emotional symptoms. Okay, so a lot of times we cannot just see, oh, when the fire gets too strong, and then immediately means that you think about heart attack, because many people think that, oh, it's just heart attack and I don't have a heart disease, I'll be fine. No, Not only that, because there is a layer called emotional symptom that a lot of people will neglect. But and this is the thing that a lot of people were asking me, some of my clients and friends were asking me about, hey, why this month, October month, there's so many rape case, murder case, suicidal cases and things like that. Has it Why is that so? Now you see this emotional symptom problems. So the emotional symptom problem that is related to the fire, the first one I would say is love stroke affection issues stroke obsession. Okay, so what does it mean? So basically it means that when the fire gets too strong, and the fire itself represents passion, love, affection, when it gets too strong, and remember the BaZi chart of 2026, there is no water to control the fire. So it's like this Chinese saying, right? You love until you burn your heart. So it's like we are looking at the 2026 issue whereby, okay, there'll be people perhaps get too obsessed with certain things. It may be getting too obsessed with their work, or maybe getting too obsessed with another human being. Yeah, so there is also a affection issue, a love related issue. So sometimes when this happens, when when it gets a little bit too extreme, because we don't like it, right, whenever something is too extreme, because that's very unhealthy. So even the love itself or the affection can be extremely toxic. Okay, so there's no control. There's like too much of it over, and that can be extremely destructive. So obsession is what? Obsession means possessive. Possessive is like, if I cannot have it, other people cannot have it, and I am just going to destroy it. Sounds like fire, right? Because fire also got this problem, right? When it burns and its own is great, but if it's not controlled, it can burn the whole forest down. So this is the matter of fire, right? So same goes emotional wise, love, affection issues. So someone asked me, will there be more divorce? Most likely. A lot of arguments as well. Okay. And think about anything that has to do with being obsessed with certain things, or expressing love in a very passionate, overly passionate way. So that could lead to many problems. Now, the next one is overjoy. Overjoy. So what does overjoy means? The, I think this is also something that people don't really know, that if we are constantly happy, it's actually pretty toxic. Yeah, if you are constantly happy, it's also pretty toxic. Meaning to say, if it's like, oh, it's not possible for you to like just be happy all the time, and suddenly one day you will just collapse and feel extremely sad. So sadness for no reason, or happy for no reason. So the fire itself represents joy, but in a very extreme way, it's over. It's over. So limitless joy, it's unhealthy. The next one is social issues. So what are the social issues? Basically, we're talking about connection. Okay, and this could lead to this thing called the loneliness epidemic. So what it means is that people are very connected today because there are so many social media, but yet this is where I think I think it's the time whereby people felt the most lonely ever, because it's hyper connection, whereby everything seems so connected, or perhaps too connected, to the extent that there's no real connection at all. So perhaps what we will see next year, there'll be quite a number of loneliness, and it is a form of epidemic, yeah. Okay, because people struggle to socialize. I think this is also to many younger generations. They cannot socialize anymore. All sorts of socialization must go through phone. If people sit down on the table, they don't connect, they don't talk, they only want to play with their phone. So there will be social issues as well. So that is, it will create a certain form of like no one understands me, I'm lonely, that kind of feeling. So that is an emotional symptom. Now the next one is poor in concentration. Yeah, you cannot concentrate because it's whenever, the reason why you cannot concentrate and poor memory is because when you are doing something, your mind is not in there. Hence why there is no memory. There's lack of being present at the moment, enjoying the journey, enjoying the process. Hence why there's poor concentration and memory. Now, the last one is emotional regulation. Fire, when it's too strong, it will trigger a lot of people very easily. Meaning to say, people are extremely sensitive. Now, as sensitive in what way? Easily get angry. Yeah. So I'm not going to talk about what happens after they get angry, okay? But people are just easily offended in a way, or people are overly sensitive in a way, or people are just too emotional that they cannot control themselves. So there is a ability poor ability to regulate the emotion, because fire, right, too excited, very jumpy. So if you understand the essence of fire, you'll be able to feel it. That is also the reason why if you know anyone's parcel chart with very strong fire, generally they are very quick, like that. Okay, and even their emotion wise also, they explode very quickly, they explode very fast. Okay, so this is in reference of poor emotional regulation. So these are the emotional symptoms. Okay, just pay attention to this. And of course, what happens next after anyone feel this, or go through these emotional issues, what happens after that is another thing. Okay, but the root cause is mainly all this. So I think it's a very, very important year to manage emotions and mental health. Okay, now physical symptoms wise, so physical symptoms, I think generally people, or you guys are more aware of. I think people are more afraid of physical symptoms. So the few physical symptoms that is related to fire is palpitations. So palpitations is like irregular heartbeats, right? Means your heart beats too fast suddenly. Now, possibly because it's triggered with certain incident, probably because of stress, probably because of lack of sleep, or probably because of your diet and have too much coffee. Okay, so your heart will beat very fast. Now, spontaneous sweating means generally you sweat all the time. Even if it's cold, you are still sweating. Okay, there's another symptom. Abdominal pain, because again, fire element also represents the small intestine. So every time, whenever uh you eat, or whenever there's just a little bit of things, your stomach get pain and you get bloated very quickly, yeah, that is a sign of fire issue or fire imbalances. Okay, the next one is short of breath. Okay, and here I want to mention lung inflammation. Okay, so besides just having all these issues, right, it's also very important to understand that whenever the fire element is very, very strong, it will counter the metal element, and the metal element represents the lungs. So 2026, someone did ask me earlier on what kind of disease. Well, I'm talking about all sorts of heart diseases. On top of that, I would also suggest and say that you need to pay a lot of attention on your lungs and your throat, because the lungs and your throat is actually your metal element. So it is too hot until your lung get invaded by the heat. Okay. Yes, that would happen because the metal represents the lung is going to get weakened. That is why, if you notice, right, this month itself, influenza rate is crazy high, viral infection is crazy high. I think I know one school, more than 100 over students get influenza at one time. and they had to shut down the school because of that. So this is also another very, very fire problems. Okay, so just pay attention even for yourself. Be very mindful with your throat. Like even for me now, this month itself, I tell you, the throat is very dry. I'm having like um cracked lips, and the cracked lips are actually symptoms that the body is really hot. So like for me, I have a hot chart, I get affected very easily. So this is what, and the indication of lung inflammation, one way is you're short of breath. Okay, meaning you cannot breathe properly. Okay, it's also a symptom of anxiety. Now the next one is a UTI. So UTI is like urinary tract infection. So a similar case, not only the metal element is going to be affected, but the water element as well. So early on, if you look at the parcel chart, there isn't any water element present, and the water element is a representation with the reproductive system. Okay, so for females, example, okay, now this is very important because when the water element is affected, it is also going to create yin deficiency. Okay, yin deficiency means our body yin energy is going to be very low, deficient in yin, which then likely to create other problems such as urinary tract infection, okay, hormonal related problems. And I can tell you, as a woman, hormonal related problem is one of the biggest problem ever in a lot of humans. And next, you can also see fertility problems because whenever the body is suffering from yin deficiency, pregnancy is a problem. Yeah, so in a way, if we flip it and see the other way around, and if you are listening to this, if your line of business is to help people solve all these problems, actually it's not too bad because there will be a lot of people who will be suffering from this issue. Same goes to if your job is to help women to treat fertility, you help couples to solve their fertility issues, it is quite a good business, yeah, because there are many people who are going to look for this kind of assistance. Okay, so while I'm talking about all this, right, you guys also can like start to think another angle because what I'm describing here, it's also a certain pattern. And if your job is to serve or is to solve a certain pattern, it means there is a market. Okay, there is a market at least for 1 year. Okay, at least for 1 year. All right, that is also the reason why next year I think women health is going to be quite hot as in the market. Yeah, women health. Okay, because when the body is so yang, women's yin problems will all appear. Yeah, men is not that severe because men don't need that. But for women, the yin deficient will be very apparent, which also means that women health is going to be a big issue next year. Okay, so this you can see as a form of opportunity if you're serving this market. All right. Okay, so next. Now, so what I've shared earlier on was a combination of both emotional and physical symptoms. I'm only referring to symptoms. Okay, but I want you guys to think for yourself or have a little imagination. Together with all these symptoms, right? It's just what's happening to you. It can create other and more problems. Now, just one example, all the symptoms can create diseases. Okay, so earlier on, I did mention whatever symptoms you are facing doesn't always mean it's a disease. The symptom is an indication that maybe something worse or something bad is going to happen. So you need to see after the symptom what's going to happen. First one is actually on disease. So example, whenever you face any of these issues, or if you are prone or if you know anyone who faced this issue, please be aware that if these symptoms are not taken care of, if these symptoms are not being paid attention, it will extend or create more of other diseases such as chronic anxiety, maniac, Yeah, depression, or perhaps both sides, bipolar. Okay, bipolar means what? Either you're extreme maniac or extreme depressed, either one. So it's the paradox, right? So it's like extreme hot or extreme cold, okay, which is something that the chart doesn't have. All right, so this is the peak of the paradox. If you have attended some of my talks in period 9, right, I talked a lot about the paradox in period 9, how things will become so extreme in the future, and like one end to the other, the paradox, that this kind of paradox in life will happen. And I think 2026 is where the biggest stretch you can see, the biggest paradox line that you can see. Okay, now this happens in diseases. So example, I did mention earlier on, hormonal imbalance, because hormone represents what? The water element, which is missing in the chart. IBS is irritable bowel syndrome. So the lungs, remember earlier on we talked about the lung inflammation. Now, not only the lung will get inflamed, but your colon will get inflamed as well if you do not take care of yourself in this 2026. Now, the next one is arrhythmia, hypertension, stroke, chronic inflammation. So if you understand just the fire element itself, it can create a lot of inflammation, literally. So remember how our body works. Everything is inflamed, everything is swollen, fire, inflammation. Okay, so they'll be very prone to chronic inflammation, these kind of situations. Okay, just pay attention to it. Now, not only now, this is just an example of disease, right? So if you are listening to me right now, I want you guys to just have a little bit of like thoughts. All these things, including the emotional symptoms and including the physical symptoms, think about not only just in terms of how it will create further disease problems, but think about how it will create more problems in your life. Maybe it's not a disease, but think about how, example, when we're talking about the example, right, when we're talking about the emotional health aspect, right, which is quite common right now, I hope. I'm not sure if I'm just in my circle, so that's why I'm saying it's quite common. I hope so. I hope it's well versed today, and I hope many people are paying attention to it. Like things like feeling lonely, inability to regulate your emotion, inability to concentrate, inability to actually feel happy for the sake of, because there's something to be happy. All these things can affect a lot of things. Yeah, it could if affect how we decide on our career. It can affect how we actually communicate with people. I think that has a lot to do with relationship, because the heart itself represents the governor, the relationship. And I think that if this emotional symptom, if it's not managed well, it will affect a lot of relationship problems. And these relationship problems is not just in terms of your house or intimate relationship, but it also affects you and the people you work with kind of relationship. Imagine if you're working with somebody who is unable to control their emotions, or maybe you are unable to control your emotions. Do you think it's easy to talk to you if you can't control your emotions? Or do you think people want to talk to you if you cannot regulate and control your emotions? People might just want to walk away. So all these things actually lead to more than just another disease problem. Okay, of course, um, the physical part mostly is going to relate no physical part mostly is going to relate to a lot of further issues. But think about physical symptoms, that it will also create work problems. From what I see, work related problems, when you have certain conditions, you cannot work well. Okay, remember that if you have perhaps certain issues, falling sick all the time because your body just cannot take it anymore. Maybe you are constantly sick, that's why you can't do your work well. Or maybe you're constantly sick, you have to take a lot of breaks. So many things. I cannot imagine for myself because we are running our own business, right? So imagine if you're a business owner and you fall sick all the time. It's very inconvenient, yeah, guys. I'm telling you that. So I one thing for sure is I'm always like do not want to get sick, because every time I get sick, it's like, oh my god, I don't know when I'm gonna recover and I'm gonna feel really tired and stuff like that. So as entrepreneurs, try not to get sick, okay? Because health is always very important. That's why. So think about all these things, all the physical symptoms that is going to lead to further problems. Okay, now let's look into the vulnerable parties. Now this is very important because, of course, when we look at the 2026 energy, the fire is so strong, it's going to affect everyone else. It's for sure. I can guarantee you this. It's going to affect everyone else, even my cat. Okay, my cats, right? This is going to affect everything else that is living around us. But there are a bunch of people who are more vulnerable, meaning to say they are more, like, say, sensitive to the energy and more sensitive to the strong fire. Now, the first one, I would say that there's these three parties, I would say. The first one are young kids and maybe teenage age around there. So I'm referring to like post-pandemic children, right? The type that, 5 years ago, they were going through their primary or maybe their secondary from home and learning everything online. Yeah, those batch of kids or teenage, they have a different type of rewiring. Perhaps those are the ones that are more, say, vulnerable, because why? Their exposure to computer, their how would I say, their relationship with interaction with people is a bit different. So there is a batch of children which is during the lockdown period. We call them the pandemic kids. They have a different social skills. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it. Not only that, even a lot of teachers are actually struggling to help them in their education, because they have always been learning through online, and pandemic time, a lot of things are affected, even their education. So even now you see how their character has been developed. They are a bit more vulnerable and sensitive to things, and which is why, remember, the emotional symptoms, they are most prone to these parties. Okay, so these parties are essentially the more sensitive to emotions kind, the batch of kids who are exposed to so much on the outside world and the technology that there is no control at all. Okay, that is the first one. Okay, now the next one is unhappy elderlies. Okay, these are also very vulnerable parties. So unhappy elderly, in, if I ought to put it as a form of elemental, I'll refer them to the metal element plus a little bit of water element people, because we don't like it. Elderly who are very unhappy, or they are really depressed, or maybe they are sick and that's why they are not happy, they are also very easily affected, because again, emotionally they are unable to regulate well. Yeah. Okay. So just pay more attention emotionally to unhappy elderly. And this is not going to be very helpful with their aging process, or maybe if they have any underlying diseases, right? Try not to, because during this time, I would say, yeah, if be happy, learn how to be happy for good reasons. Now the next one would be, okay, if your 八字 chart is extremely hot or extremely cold, That's also another thing. So when I mean by if your BaZi chart is extremely hot, extremely cold, so imagine if your BaZi chart, you can look at the elements there. If your BaZi chart, the fire element, it's maybe 95 to 100, 95 to 100, or maybe if you have a combination of fire, meaning the yin wu xu, the dog yin, tiger, dog, yin, wu, xu, tiger, dog, and horse. Okay. So if your BaZi chart already existingly have the three harmony itself of the fire frame, be slightly careful because definitely the fire of the year will add up more fire to your BaZi chart. Like for my case, I have a three harmony combination, so I have to be extremely careful with that. Okay. Now, because that will literally add on more fire into your BaZi chart. So in terms of the mental, the emotional, and the physical health, be extremely careful. Observe the level of heat that is going to build up in your body. Now, extreme cold. Okay, extreme cold. So extreme cold could be also another issue. Yeah. So extreme cold, probably it will come more like a shock. Probably we'll see more like a emotional related issue. So that also want to pay more attention. But I'm not as concerned as to those who are having the fire chart. I'm more concerned. Yeah, I'm not too concerned with the water chart. I'm more concerned with the fire chart, honestly. But still, we will see some symptoms for those who have extreme cold chart. Extreme, the keyword is extreme. So if you have a hot chart, it's fine. If you have a cold chart, it's fine. But I am referring to extreme here. Now, on top of that, fire water clash, also very vulnerable. So what is fire water clash? Fire water clash meaning next year is the horse, right? So the horse is actually clashing with the rat. Okay, so the rat is actually a water. So fire is represented by the horse. The rat is represented by the water. So if your BaZi chart already have a fire water clash, an existing horse, an existing rat in your chart, you also need to be a bit more careful. Now, I'm not saying that it may be like a collapse doom day for you, but be very aware of the emotional symptom that I'm talking about. Be very aware of the physical symptom that I'm talking about. Okay, so yeah, so health issue will appear either emotionally or physically. Okay, be very aware. Right, not only that, if you also have the rat in your chart, the fire comes in very strong, it will also clash you. Okay, now the next one is if you have all this and you're still emotionally unchecked, meaning to say if you are not aware of how you feel, if you are not aware of emotions at all, if you don't do any self-reflection at all, this could be an issue. Okay, that's why 2026 slowing down, self-reflection is very important. Having the wisdom is very important. Why? Because all these are the water element. So the yin aspect, the yin aspect, the yin and yang aspect, next year, because it's extreme yang, you got to be more careful. So the yin aspect must come in as a remedy. So and I know that many people might think that, oh my God, some people might think that, oh my God, like, say, some people might think that, oh yeah, it's going to be like, everybody is going to be so busy, but you're asking me to rest, that kind. So many people will feel like there's a lot of resistance. I would say there's a lot of resistance to slow down. But It has to be done. Otherwise, that's why even now, like last is this month itself, we've seen people going to hospitals because they get burned out. I've known quite a few people who actually work until they get burned out, or maybe they were too overwhelmed with work until they burn out and they had to go hospital. Guys, please tell me that this is humanly possible. Like, I think even before this, I don't even know it's possible. We've seen it before in television, but it's apparently going to be very common from now on if we do not learn how to rest, if we do not learn how to slow down. And by the way, I'm also talking this to myself because I have a very hot chart. So people who very hot chart generally is like a locomotive. They're always moving non-stop. So if you have that kind of chart, right, you most likely are also going to be moving like that. And don't get me wrong, you enjoy it, but our system, our body itself, it's not supposed to function on only movement basis. It's not supposed to be only yang energy. So when that happens, what happens is our body will fight back, it will break down. So this is extremely important. We need to force ourselves to find that balance in order for us to sustain the year. And it's not just about our health at the end of the day, because the more we are able to care for our health, the better we will be able to go through whatever that is coming next year. Because honestly, whatever that is coming next year, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. We can't control. I was also looking at the chart. I was like, okay, this is really not an easy chart to play. So the solution is at the end of the day, it's how we manage ourselves and how we choose to find that balance within ourselves from our mental, emotion, and body state. Because whatever that is happening, it's going to happen. We cannot avoid that. The key is whether we can stand when it comes to us. So that requires certain health level to deal with what is coming. Okay, hence why extremely important. Okay. Okay, so it's, let me see what's next. I think I'm almost done. Okay, so now as a conclusion, remember, if the fire is now so strong, the concept is very basic actually. When the fire gets too strong, we are generally looking at two elements that is also going to be affected. So it's not just all the fire health problems that is going to appear, but also because the metal gets counted too strong, it will melt the metal, and the metal health problems also will appear, such as lung inflammation, influenza, cold, flu, heat lung invasion, probably also looking at IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, your colon issues, colon cancer, don't be too surprised with that as well, colon inflammation, all these things, and then also the water problems. So water problems, I would see more of women health problems. Of course, men as well, we cannot discard them, but mostly women who is the ones going to suffer mostly from the water problem, which is mostly hormonal related problem, PCOS, infertility, all these things, hormonal related. So be very careful with this, okay? Be very careful with this. Now, let's see. Oops. Hey, I'm missing one slide. Looks like it. So there's someone asking about how to navigate this fiery month, especially my own chart. Has 4 wood supporting 2 peng. Wow. Weak metal day master here. Okay, good question. And I'm not sure why I prepared that slide of solution, which ironically it's not here, but it's okay. Ah, okay, that's strange. Okay, it's okay. So basically, solutions very simple. Okay, um, let's put it here. Let me check. Yeah. So for to solve the fire health problems, um, actually, I would say in general health problems first. Three things very important. Three things. I actually prepared that slide, which I don't know why it's not in here. I can't find it. Three things. Number one, diet and food. Okay. Number two, lifestyle. Number three, your feng shui, please. Your feng shui is very important. Okay. Because when referring to health feng shui, I'm talking about where you sleep is very important. Yeah, where you sleep. So number one, about food and diet, you have to manage it. Yeah, you have to manage it. So example, if your bazi chart is already a lot of fire, if your bazi chart is already very hot, so generally what it means, your DNA, your genetic, okay, your double helix itself has higher tendencies of being, okay, sorry, your tendencies to be super heaty is there. So unlike some charts which are not in the hot side, they probably don't face these problems too much. But if your chart is already very hot, your tendency to experience internal heat is higher. Meaning to say, if you are exposed to the same thing, same level of heat, you with another person, you probably will experience more issues. So diet wise, make sure in terms of food, you must avoid say greasy, oily foods, or maybe try to balance out your diet with something that is more cooling, watermelon, such as watermelon, cucumber, leafy greens such as like vegetable has a lot of leaves. Very good one is actually spinach, very leafy green stuff. So adjust your diet because this is the fastest way and the easiest way to solve it. That's why, yeah, always try to manage your diet. Of course, try to avoid the hot food, which is like spicy, heating food, chili, peppers, ginger, alcohol. There's also spicy food. And drink a lot of water. So generally, if your bazi chart is very hot already, with the current situation right now, you most likely are very prone to get dehydration because the body temperature heats up, it will suck out whatever remaining liquids that you have in your body. So you need to drink a lot of herbal tea or otherwise hydrate yourself. So when you start hydrating yourself more often, you will tend to go to the toilet more and it will flush out a lot of excess heat. Detox as well. Detox is very important as well. Okay, so don't underestimate this little things because it really makes a huge difference in your day in day out symptom. Yeah, now lifestyle wise you need to adjust as well. So lifestyle wise you need to adjust in terms of slowing down your activities because people who have very hot chart, like I said, very difficult for them to slow down because you move like a train, poo, 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 keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. So you need to learn relaxation techniques such as deep breathing, yoga, meditation. All these things are very important. Now, I would say generally because it's a very fiery year, everyone is going to have issues in their emotional aspect, poor emotional regulation. Generally, I think it's a very important subject for everyone to learn to how to manage their emotions. Now, I mean by managing emotions, not suppressing. Yeah, I need to repeat this like 100 times because many people think that managing emotions means don't talk about it. Many people think that managing emotion means I keep quiet and just put it down. Many people think that way. No, it's not the truth. Okay, managing your emotions, it only means ability to express your emotions maturely. There is nothing wrong to be angry. There is nothing wrong to be sad. There is nothing wrong to grieve. But how are we expressing that healthily? Now, this is also another form of education. And I think it's very important if we want to improve our lifestyle. You need to educate yourself on how to manage this education. That's why nowadays, right? I think I've seen before, like kids, they are learning this like emotional thing. Like I'm not sure, like some flashcards. Some of my friends actually are teaching their kids this way, like some flashcards on how to read emotions and how to express it healthily. Now, guess what? I think adults need to learn that as well. It's not just children. Okay, maybe in the past, adults were not educated at all to do this. So that will be an issue, right? So lifestyle adjustment is very important. Slow down, try to do things every single day, just 5 minutes, 1 minute. Very simple. Don't underestimate this process. Serious, 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 serious. I know many times many people might think that, oh my God, I'm so lazy to do. Oh my God, I have no time to relax. Please don't. Otherwise, I will say next year we'll have a lot of issues for sure. Okay. Now, the next one. Okay. Sorry. This is my cat trying to cross my computer. So the next one and the last one will be managing it through the environment. Managing things through environment. So I'm referring to feng shui. Okay. Extremely important. Okay. But if you don't have like um techniques to actually do certain form of activation or certain things, it's okay. But I'm only referring to basic feng shui, meaning to say when you are sleeping, when you are resting, what and how you're doing it. Because next year, the sleep, the rest is very important. And I think a lot of people care too much about how their office or how the water activation works in the feng shui. Great, brings you money, brings you opportunity, awesome. But what if you have all those opportunities? But what if you don't even have the capacity to take that opportunity? What if you don't even have the energy to deal with that business opportunity that you hope and wish for? Because why? You probably don't sleep well. So, one thing that I always do and very important is to adjust basic 101 health feng shui. Very, very important. Without the health, you won't be able to manage the wealth. So next year, this is going to be an issue. And if you have a very vulnerable chart, strong fire chart, please make sure the way you sleep is correct. Basic 101, please don't sleep at the main door. Don't sleep facing too much yang energy. Make sure that your position of bed is not at the 5 yellow. Make sure it is not in some random under beam situation. Make sure there is no TV screens in front of you or nothing reflective or mirror in front of you. Make sure that your head is not facing directly to an entrance of a sachi. These are basic things. If ever, please look into it. Okay, so very important because fire element issue also lead to insomnia. Okay, also lead to insomnia. So very important. You can solve by your feng shui. And not only the feng shui itself, your bed position. Now, if we look at how to sleep well, you also want to make sure that your room is entirely dark. Your room is cold enough to make you fall asleep. Now, if you want to add on, maybe you can take some supplements. Maybe you can take some magnesium. Maybe you can take some melatonin. Maybe you can also use lavender and diffuse it in your room, or maybe just massage it over your ears and your palms to make you fall asleep better. So basically, if you know how to relax, a lot of things can be solved because 2026, many people do not know how to relax. Okay, it's a very intense year. All right. So if you feel that now is already very intense, right, guys, more is coming. Okay, if you feel that now is very intense, now it's not intense just as yet. Okay, now it's just a seeding period. It's gonna only get more. Okay, that is the reason why we've been talking a lot about stress management, by the way, because it's to get ourselves prepared. I also need to learn about it, as me and Cindy is doing a lot of stress management work. We are also in need of it, and we are also teaching people to do it because we see already what is coming. And yeah, that is going to be a huge thing next year. Okay, now let me wrap things up. So I hope you can like figure out what to do for yourself. Remember, diet, lifestyle, and your feng shui, please adjust them necessarily. Okay, now finish already. Okay, so guys, this is an end. Okay, so I hope you have understand about the fire energy and how it can affect your health mentally and emotionally next year, and your heart most importantly. So the heart is actually like the core of a lot of things, emotionally and mentally. So just be mindful with that. It's also extremely destructive and vulnerable at the same time. So if you do enjoy our my talk like this, okay, feel free to follow us, our IG, our Telegram, and our Facebook, and also subscribe to our YouTube as you're watching this in YouTube. Don't forget to click. And again, please do engage with us. If you're watching this video on any of our social media, please engage with us, because there'll be more coming up. So when there'll be more coming up, it means that you want to get notifications on content like this, because nowadays algorithm is a little bit crazy. If you don't engage with us, if you don't like, comment, or share or whatsoever, algorithm don't read that you are actually wanting to see what we have to offer. So please engage with us, like, tick, whatever it is, to just click stuff. Okay, so as long as you're clicking stuff, you will get notifications from us easily, because understandably noise is too many. Okay, so just pick and choose what you want to follow. Okay, which is this one. All right, so I think that's it for today. Now, a little bit, if you're interested, this month there will be one, I think it's the last workshop for the month. There'll be an abundance workshop. Okay, and these are mainly to clear out the blockages that you are having in your mind and your body. Okay, to attract more abundance, or to see more abundance. So this is a October month and workshop. It's a physical workshop, so it's only available if you are in KL. And feel free to join us. We in this session we'll be doing like meditation. I think there's breathwork activity, there's manifestation, and also sound healing, mainly to clear off a lot of blockages before the year ends. Okay, now if you would like to join this, feel free to drop us a DM, because in this October month, we are giving out a 15% discount for all our workshops. Okay, so there is a discount code where you need to fill up upon checkout, and then you can get a cheaper rate, right? So feel free to DM us if you are interested to join. This is our physical workshops. Okay, na 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 na. Yeah, there goes my mala. Okay. There you go. All right. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it for today, right? I hope you guys enjoy this. Okay, so let me know again what kind of topic you would like us to cover, because we are doing a lot on the 2026 content, about the fire horse. There's so many, sometimes I don't know which one to talk about, and at the same time not overwhelm you guys with just information, but to be also equally practical so that you can apply now. Yeah, so let me think about it, or if you have anything in mind, just let us know. I know the animal science one, that is something that a lot of you guys actually told me that you wanted the animal sign forecast, which is coming up as well, but I need to prepare quite a number of things first. Yeah, but besides that, just let us know, because we are coming back live every Wednesday. Okay, every Wednesday we'll be talking anything related to do with 2026 as we are preparing for the year. And partly because it's October month, I think it's a good time for us to actually just wrap things up if we ever need to. Okay, so thank you very much for staying. For those who are still here, all right, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday, 9 o'clock. Bye.